Okay, so this call, I mean, basically the topic, Kartika actually requested this topic for the discussion today. That's related to YMYL's websites. Um, I guess this has been a very buzzword around like 2017, 18, 19. These years we have actually heard these terms a lot, YMYL and then EAT. Those were actually very common at that time. Right now, yes, it is, but but because of many recent updates that Google has been rolling out, this has been a bit uh, behind of other topic, but at the same time this is actually something which is very important as well when we talk about like the websites, the quality websites or the quality content. So yeah, YMYL websites, those kinds of site, I mean, basically previously, because there was one Matic update in August 2018, I guess there was one Matic update. It was called Matic update because most of the medical website got hit by that update and their ranking got lost. That is why that update was called Matic update. And then this thing started. I mean, this YMYL and EAT, that was very much into existence at that time, and people were talking about this a lot. The reason being, uh, the medical websites got hit at that particular Google update. But that is actually something, after that people started thinking that the YMYL is only related to medical websites, but that's not the case. YMYL is your money, your life. That is what this term called. Now, your money, your life, when you first actually pronounce this word, or when you this acronym, or when you try to speak this acronym, mostly that comes into your mind as your money, your life. That means it should be something related to monetizing a website, or something related to money, the websites which deals with money, or the website kind of finance kind of website, loan kind of website should come under it. But it has a wide range. It is just not the website which actually deals with money, finances, but it is more than that. So basically, YMYL is uh, related to people well-being, people happiness, how the user get, I mean, happy with the results basically. So if a person is searching for a health related website, if you talk about the well-being, that means if a person is searching for health related topic or news or article, then if the person is satisfied with the content of that particular website which he or she lands, that is something which is taken into consideration by the Google to rank the websites. I mean, it is not, should not say it is directly impacting the ranking signals, but at the same time, if you have the content on your website which is actually satisfying the need of the users, that is something which Google look for when they rank your website in this case. Now, in your money, your life, the this umbrella have so many niche of the websites. Like if we talk about finances, yes, the finance websites, the loan websites, the banking website, the insurance website, taxes websites, all this comes under the umbrella of YMYL. Then if we talk about the well-being, then the website which gives you information about the health, diet, safety, and also the website which sell the medicines or the website which sells the medical equipment also comes in under this umbrella, because we are talking about well-being and we are talking about money. That means if we are talking about well-being, that means I probably want to search for some information related to arthritis or related to some diseases, and if I get into a website which actually gives me all that information, and maybe at the same time they are also selling the gloves that are helpful in pains of arthritis, that means I probably will land those product pages and I probably will buy those products. That means this is making me happy, like I'm satisfied, the website is giving me information that need, at the same time they are giving me the products that I require for my arthritis. So that means the website which is related to well-being of the people. So that is the health and web well-being or health and safety websites. At the same time, there is a website which is related to new government policies, there's a website which is related to voting politics. That means the general website that I probably will follow on the daily basis, because I want news related to that and I'm happy seeing those results or satisfied seeing those websites, that comes under the umbrella of YMYL. And if you talk about shopping websites, yes, because we are talking about money, the website which is related to money transactions, that means the shopping websites also comes under this umbrella. So most of the website comes under this umbrella, the YMYL umbrella. um, that means Google actually have more like, they have more rules, they are really strict about these website. Sometimes we say, like, if there is a website related to CBD oil, probably the content that we write, uh, the sometimes it takes times, I mean for several time the client come back to us doing the changes or requesting the changes. The reason being, the policies for those kind of website for Google and also the law is too strict, that you cannot give any information on that particular website. You have to give a very exact information, and you have to write a content like you are writing as a medical expert. So sometimes Google also prefer the content written on the medical website should come from a medical expert. The reason being because that medical expert actually have all the information, and it aligns with the people need or user requirement when the user land on the website. So that is why sometimes it is asked like the medical website content should be written by the medical expert, because because obviously the Google's guidelines are pretty strict in that case. So these kind of websites, sometimes the fitness related website, nutrition related website also comes under this umbrella. It is up to Google how they judge like which website should come under this umbrella and which should not. But we have these scenarios that has been explained by Google, like these websites are generally come under YMYL umbrella, and mostly all of our client are basically from that particular umbrella. So basically, I think the one niche that is out of it is what I can see is I haven't seen any adult website comes into this umbrella. We also work on some of the adult websites. So that is the only example I have which doesn't come under this umbrella, but there can be some more examples, right? But yeah, I mean that is something which is for basically Google is very strict because of the guidelines. I mean the Google have it is they are pretty strict for these kind of website and the content added in these kind of website. That is why the EAT comes into existence. EAT is obviously the expertise, authoritativeness and the trustworthiness, sorry. So the content written on those websites should comes from the expert. That is the first point. that also comes from the authority websites. Like if you have some content, if you are writing some content on maybe the NY Times, that means if the NY Times is showcasing some content that should come from the, and that is related to health, that should, or finance, that should come from the brands, right? So if NY Times is showing some content or the press releases, that should come from the higher authority, higher brands, like maybe the hospital that is very very popular in NY is adding some press releases on the NY Times. That is something which is more common, or maybe more authority wise, that is something which is preferred. And trustworthiness means the people who is landing on that content or reading that content should have trust on that content, that the information written in that particular blog or maybe the news article should be or maybe correct. Obviously, if I know that the NY Times shows the correct information, I probably will land it more often and then read the information, and then uh, satisfied with that information, and may not search more for other websites, because I know that the NY Times have given me the correct information. So that is something related to trustworthiness, and these things, the EAT basically comes into existence um, only when, like, we talk about like YMYL websites. So from the EAT perspective, that is something which is very important. Like if you have a website, you should be adding the contact us pages, you should be adding the about us pages, the FAQ pages into your website. The reason being, these pages have all the information about yourself, and because of, about your websites, about your company, about your business, and because of which people can trust you. So that is why it is always recommended. And if we find out the our client doesn't have the FAQ page, we actually ask client to add one, or we create one FAQ page for them, and then we upload that page into the website. The reason being, the YMYL is something which says like you should have all the information added in your website. If people are searching for some question into your website, you should have added that question into the FAQ page, because obviously people will land into the FAQ page, get the information that they want, and then they can leave, right? So that is something which is required. That is why we used to, or we ask our client to have those pages on their website. Now basically,
Hey,
if,
Kanika, could you let Princewell in?
okay, sorry, I mean,
I
I
think he's in the waiting room. Sorry about that.
no problem. Okay.
How do we get to know who's in the waiting room?
It comes, I mean, it
Mhm.
it doesn't have any sound,
Only
so
the
it is,
organizer.
yeah,
Okay. Okay.
it doesn't have
Mhm.
any sound, so it doesn't notify me like someone is waiting in the waiting room. That is something which I noticed should have, like Zoom should have that functionality, but yeah. Okay, so when we talk about obviously the link building, because we are discussing link building and YMYL websites. Now, there is no hard and fast rule. Obviously, the best practices that we discuss for link building is similar for the YMYL websites, because obviously Google never did says like these are the things that you have to follow if you want to do link building for the YMYL website. Google never do that. So that's the reason there is no kind of hard and fast rule that we should follow for the YMYL website. So suppose we have a medical equipment client, there is no hard and fast rule what you should do or what you should not do in terms of link building. But yes, obviously we know that the content written on the website and off the website, like if we are working on the on page content and if we are working on the external links, in both cases the content should say itself like it is written by the experts. Now this is something which we have to make sure, like whenever we check the content written by the content writers, we are not ourselves experts, so we don't have the idea, but at the same time it should sounds like an expert, like someone who is written the writing the content is someone who actually understand it. That's why sometimes we used to ask a person who has actually worked on the kratom client should be prefer for a particular client. So suppose a new kratom client comes in or new CBD oil client come in, then we prefer a person or the team member who have already worked on that client, because they have that kind of information, they already worked on those content, they already worked on those link building, they get more expertise working on those niche of client and then we get better results. So we cannot we cannot be an expert, but at the same time if we keep assigning the same people on the same kind of niche, that and that person can share their experience with the other people in the team, that is something which is preferable. Because obviously we do not have medical expert content writer, but at the same time people who have experience working with kratom or CBD niche of client can actually write the content more perfectly than anyone else. So that is why we prefer to have those people who already worked on that particular niche. um, at the same time, the links that we are getting, obviously we all always talk about getting a mix. If we cannot get the do follows all the time, obviously the do follows have the SEO values. That doesn't means that no follow doesn't have any kind of value. They do have the value, but at the same time we have to take a mix. We should have some do follow links on our webs for our website, and we should have some no follow links as well, right? And if we are getting link consistently, that is what which is recommended. That is why you people understand we have goals for each and every client, because we want consistent links. We do not want to have like 12 links in a month and then we stop getting the links for the client for whole year. It is better if we get one or two links per month from the outreach, and then we continuously getting that every month or month over month, or maybe alternative month. But at the same time, getting all the links at the same time and then we do not get any link for the client, that is not which is recommended for any kind of website, not only the website which comes under the umbrella of YMYL. So obviously these the best practices that we implement or you already know about the link building also applies for the link building that we perform for the YMYL website. There is no difference between them. But yes, we have to be little bit conscious when we are working on those kind of website. We should never recommend going for the paid links. Google already some days back accepted, like if you are getting a link from the outreach, I mean there was one misconception, like getting links from outreach is also not kind of thing that Google wants. But some days back, Google, the John Mueller, the advanced search had actually accepted it. Like if you are getting a relevant link from the outreach, then asking for a link is not a bad idea. So that means the thing that we are performing in coalition is very much in, that is something we should be doing. But at the same time, if we are getting links on the relevant website, that is something which is recommended and you people already know that. So obviously, as I told you, there is no difference between the link building for a website which doesn't come into YMYL or does come into YMYL website umbrella. There is no difference between the link building for two, right? So I guess it is something which is clear, or maybe you people already know, but yeah, anything that we can discuss going forward about this?
I have one question.
Sure.
We have this client Howdy Handsome, and they make biotin gummies and some pills and all these things for vitality and XYZ things.
Mm-hmm.
Is it better if we do the outreach and include a quote from an expert, or simply placing a link that points to their site is equally good. Like in one way, we are doing the outreach and we place a quote from an expert, and we can attribute that quote something like that Dr. XYZ who works with Howdy Handsome. Or is it better that we just send a normal outreach that we do and just include a keyword on a
Both
particular
works,
anchor
I
that?
should say, both works.
Mhm,
If you know that your client have some experts, right,
mhm,
who actually can write code for us. If you ask client, and we do ask client sometimes for creating a code for us, and then we outreach, and then we also do it ourselves. So both works. If client actually ask it in the kickoff call, basically that everything should go through them, then obviously that should goes to client first. If they can write, that is good. If we can write and they can review, that is also good. If like, obviously sometimes when we perform haro, even for the coalition website, even if I am writing, we can include Jordan in that particular code, right? It says like he is saying this, right?
mhm.
So that means
Uh,
if you are writing and you are including client name and client is okay with that, that should also
mhm.
be good. That means client is already an
That's
expert, right?
Mhm. That's what the issue is with this particular client. They are reluctant to have an expert on board, and it is really difficult to get links like, trying to write a guest post on hair gummies and then expect we can send it to a website that is already thriving or we get a lot of traffic, and they will accept an article or a claim made by someone who's not an expert. So this
In
is where the
that
problem
case,
is. I
we are
asked you
using
to.
our I think CTCS personas, right, Andrea?
Yes, yeah. So it can be tough because some clients do have that perspective. They don't necessarily have like a individual that they want to represent their brand, especially depending on the industry, which
Mhm,
yeah, Saya does make it hard in that respect. But that is why we have the different authors that have
mhm,
established, like are established in the different verticals, to say like if we don't have an expert, well, we have a writer that's contributed to like this site that's relevant and this site. So if it's like a health site you're pitching to for that client,
mhm,
then you can look at the other health sites we've contributed to. And
mhm,
even though they're not exactly on the same topic, as long
mhm,
as they're well written pieces, then you
mhm,
can provide those as samples or examples to like prove that
mhm,
you're a valid person to cover this industry and you've covered other industries well. So that's kind of why we developed the
mhm.
verticals in the CTCS authors.
Okay. Hunter and Hope asked for this and they clearly denied. They were like, no, we cannot have on board an expert or someone who can who they can use to attribute their codes to. So that made this thing tricky, but I'll work on this, like what you suggested.
Yeah, it is tricky. We can't quote the CTCS authors as like
Mhm,
experts with the client side. We can use them as the author, like the writer for a piece, but we
mhm,
can't use Katie or Aaron and
mhm,
say he's an expert with this other client.
mhm,
The one is those team members haven't given permission to do that, to be quoted in that manner, but they're also really not, they're really not like doctors or um, people that have studied that, or
mhm,
a writer would probably see through an editor to that and
mhm,
not want to allow it. And that is going to be the case with some clients. We're just not going to be able to push that through. One, because they might have to pay an expert to kind of leverage. So I know like some people have advisors, like medical advisors or like expert advisors. Um, and yeah, it can be tough for some industries,
I think this is
unfortunately.
what big websites are doing through Haro platform. They want expert opinion on their site to increase their trustworthiness.
Exactly. Yes.
Mhm. Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Okay. Anyone else?
Kanika, I have a question.
Sure.
So when it comes to healthcare website, it's easy to have an expert. But what about e-commerce clients? How can we have an expert if it is a fashion-related website?
So, I mean, that is why I think we created this vertical, because obviously, I mean, we cannot have expert for every field. So, in that case, if we have the authority author from our own company, right? So, suppose we are utilizing Katie for that's the author for all the fashion websites, suppose. So in that
Mhm.
case, if we have already gained the link from the Katie author persona, that means we are creating our own author that is actually trained, or that is actually expert in writing fashion related content. So that's the reason we created those personas. Like, we cannot have expert for all the website or for all the client, but at the same time there can be someone who can be from our own company, who actually write on the particular niche of particular category of the client, and then we can have those. I mean, obviously we have number of links and the name of that particular author from our own company, so that means that person is particularly writing on some category of content, so that will give some value. So that is why we created it.
Yeah, and I
So,
can also add a
um,
little bit more to that, Karthika. One of the things a lot of times the client doesn't realize is all the details we need to leverage them as an expert. Because I know some of our fashion clients, and this is probably a more rarity, or have been stylists or are stylists in some respects. Some of them may have like done that as a career, um, or like as part of their career. And so that's something that we would leverage when we're responding or pitching um, the the writing, the quotes, whatever it is that we're sending off. And sometimes we have to follow up to get some of those details. I know a lot of times the fashion clients, you just have like the CEO. It's like so and so, like Isabel so and so, who runs whatever boutique. And sometimes, like if you're competing with someone who has like stylist experience for 15 years, it's to just say you own a fashion boutique doesn't necessarily mean you have a ton of fashion experience. It might mean you have a passion for it and wanting to run a business. So we have to kind of weed out some of those details. And it might simply be like they don't really have any like really specialty expertise or training, like they don't have a certification or something, but maybe they have like 15 years in the industry, or maybe there is like a class they took or certification they haven't shared with us. So sometimes we have to like ask the DPs and get them to follow up and see if there's any other information we can leverage there. I know like the home industry, which is lead gen, but we have like some clients that just have home remodelers, and we have like one client who's actually like a certified contractor. That's not always the case with every like home industry business. Um, and unfortunately, some clients just have more expertise than others, so it's just a little bit harder for some of them to really leverage them as like the go-to expert. But were you going to ask a follow-up question?
yeah, so this is about the off-page activities. So what about the on-page? So any content that goes onto a fashion website. For example, if you go to webmd.com, you can see that every article is like medically reviewed by so and so doctor, and that doctor has a link and has a separate bio. So when it comes to a fashion website and you have so much of content on the fashion website, who is the expert there? Is my question.
Can you repeat?
My
I don't
Yes.
go.
Can you
Yeah,
rephrase that question?
like you have different blogs in any of our fashion clients, right? Website.
Like on the
So
e-commerce website?
yeah, I'm
Okay.
talking about on-page activity. So what Kanika and you talked were about the off-page activities, like we are using Katie or Tess to pitch, and they have different articles under their name. That's fine. Google will get to know that they have written so many articles. But when it comes to, for example, Sarah dresses, they have blogs written there. So how is Google going to know that, okay, whatever content written there in Sarah dresses is by an expert, or how is the EAT going to be calculated for Sarah dresses?
So basically, the content written on the website is obviously the all the content that Google crawl. They actually check according to the query of the people. So suppose if someone search for maybe the maxi dresses, and so suppose any of our client have those and they comes up, but at the same time the Google find out like this content is actually related to that website, because that website have more and more blogs related to that, which is connected to the product pages. So if we are, I mean, that is obviously the interlinking and the on page activities or the copies that we perform on the website. It depends more and more upon that. So effectiveness is like, so suppose we have written a content related to that particular keyword, and then we actually written some more blogs related to that particular keyword, and connected our our product page with those blogs. That gives idea to the Google like we are creating content which is related to that particular keyword. So for that particular keyword, this page is effective, and this page have a authority, and we probably should rank this page more than the other one. So that is something which Google do when they crawl the website. Each and every word is checked and added into Google index, and according to the query of people or users, they show the result. That is why we try to write the content around the keyword and the variation of the keywords, because we want that we want to target that particular keyword, and any variation of the keyword should show our website. So
Okay.
okay, anyone else? We may have just 3 minutes left for this meeting. Is that answer your question, Kartika?
Uh, I'm still having questions about, okay, you said that whatever you said is basically what we do for every single website. So we take a keyword, we write content around it, we link it to the category pages to make it rank better. But if another website or if a competitor website is ranking better than me, and even if they have lesser backlinks than me,
Mm-hmm.
so what could be the reason? Is
There
it
can
like,
be many reasons. I should not say just writing the content on the keyword or around the keyword is something which is responsible for that. There are many reasons for a competitor website which may be in existence before the client website comes in, right? So age can be a factor. There can be many reasons. I mean, that is out of our idea, Google, how Google algorithm works. But at the same time, obviously there can be many reasons. The main reason right now for any website to rank better is user experience. So maybe there are many factors in the competitor website which is actually very effective in terms of user experience than our client website. So there can be some pop-up coming up which is very effective, that may be giving the incentive for the people who is landing on that particular page, and then we probably are not offering those kind of incentives, and then there can be the cart page of the competitor that may be very much effective rather than our client. So there can be many factors. That is what we analyze in the initial stages of our analysis that we do, like the initial site analysis or the CRO analysis that we provide to the client. That is something we do to analyze those things, like why competitors are ranking more than us. So we cannot determine every factor, but yes, there are some suggestions that we can provide. That is also the best practices. So
Yeah, and I can touch on, if we have time, really quickly, the specific part you're talking about, Karthika, with experts. It's one of the reasons we try to get clients to update their About Us page and even provide photos or do like the kind of meet the team approach. I know some of our clients, even e-commerce, fashion, are moving towards trying to get more people that are experts and known in the industry. Like I think some of our clients have started using influencers and getting them to guest blog or like write a post or a tribute post to them with like a photo, to offer like stylist advice or fashion tips, kind of taking that approach that you're talking about. It isn't necessarily widespread with all of our clients. I've seen that done on very specific clients, but not everyone.
Okay, I guess very less time is left. Do you people want to have another meeting, or we can just wrap this up?